Here we are. Thank you. First off, I want to thank every single one of you for being here. We have a lot of honored guests. Stephen is going to introduce them all because he's better at that than me. And our employees, who are my most honored guests, because you allow me to be your boss. And if you notice the logo 40 years, how fast that goes by, I cannot tell you. I didn't believe it when I was young. It seemed like time went by slowly. But those of you that are closer to my age know the time goes by very, very quickly. And here we are. But I remember when I first got the idea to start an engineering firm. It happened to me when I was in college, actually. My aspiration was not to be where we are now and doing what we're doing right now. My aspiration was simply to get a degree in engineering. I wanted to be an engineer and a land surveyor. I wanted to have a little office in my home with like a wing coming off it, kind of like in the Donna Reed show. Those of you that remember the Donna Reed show, Dr. Stone, he had his professional office attached to the house, and he'd come walking into the house where Donna and the rest of the family were. That's how I envisioned myself running my engineering firm someday if I was lucky enough to do so. Well, anyway, that's not the way it went. I worked for other engineering firms for 8 years after I graduated, but one day I finally decided to hang out my own shingle, and I'd have something here I wanted to show you. I brought some props with me here. So this here is my cell phone going off. But I'm sure it's spam. This is our newest, latest brochure that some of you have seen, and it's got some beautiful examples of some of our projects and our history and whatnot. But in 1984, when I started Hayduk Engineering, Stephen, would you take this, please? Hold that, because it's windy. When I started Hayduk Engineering, this was the first brochure. Look at the guy there. Look at all his hair. But this was it. It was Stephen G. Hayduk, P.E. 1 page, 2 sides. The first Hayduk Engineering brochure. It's the only copy I have left. And of course, the one thing that I was the most concerned about was where am I going to get clients? I need to get some work right off the bat. I'll have you know that my first clients all came from, not from me taking them or stealing them from my former employers. They came from other engineers, friends and colleagues of mine. Last year I got an award from the Long Island Business News, and I gave a little talk, and I talked about how nobody does anything by themselves. Everything that we do is a team effort, and everything that I've done my entire career has been a team effort, and I've been lucky enough to have people not just next to me, behind me, but friends in the profession. So my first clients were brought to me by guys that you won't know their names, like Seymour Ugelo, P.E., who moved to Florida. I worked on his house in Northport. Some of you might remember the name Joel Mealy. Joel Mealy was the director of the New York City Department of Environmental Protection at one time, but he owned a consulting firm in Queens, Mealy Associates, M-I-E-L-E. Joel Mealy, he was a great engineer. And a little-known guy by the name of Paul Panzecca. Does anybody here remember the name Paul Panzecca? Paul Panzecca was an electrical contractor. I knew him from the New York State Society of Professional Engineers. Andy, did you know him? Paul Panzecca. He was a great guy. Anyway, I started the firm. I opened it up. I didn't have a house like Dr. Stone. I was divorced at the time, and I was living in a little studio garden apartment in Hauppauge. And I got a desk, and a phone, and a typewriter. And that was Hayduk Engineering. And it was me and those 3 pieces of equipment. And Paul Panzecca was one of the more senior engineers in the PE Society. Paul Panzecca calls me up one day, and he says, "Steve, I understand you hung out your shingle. I want to come and see you. I got one of your cards. I gave my card out. It had the address, like on the bottom here, 22 North Dorado Circle, Suite 1GE, Hauppauge, New York, 11788. So he said, "How do I get to your office?" So I told him. So he comes. I guess he expected he was going to a real office. He came to my apartment. I opened the door. He comes in. Paul had diabetes pretty bad. He says, "Steve, you got some orange juice and a cracker or something?" I give it to him. He sits down on my sofa. He looks at me. He looks at the phone. He looks at the desk. He says, "So where is this Suite 1GE?" I said, "Well, Paul, it's actually apartment 1GE." But that's how I started Hayduk Engineering 40 years ago, and here we are now. So I just want to say I'm proud of where we've come. I'm glad for where we've come. I'm thankful, mostly, for what has transpired over the course of all these years, and that we could be where we are today. And I'm especially thankful that we have with us all of you. And look at these very notable, very accomplished people who have come out for us today. Clients and elected officials and appointed officials. I'm a very lucky man, and I'm also a very lucky man because my partner, Stephen Hayduk, Hayduk, is doing a lot of the work that I used to do more than I do right now. So at this point, I'll just leave it at that, and I'm going to turn it over to Stephen and say thank you all. Thank you all very much for being here. Okay. Yeah, give me that. Good.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. So at this time, I'd like to recognize some of the honored guests that we have in the room. It's a long list, so let's go. From Suffolk County, we have Legislator Nick Caracappa. I haven't seen Commissioner Bartha yet. Is Commissioner Bartha here? No? Or Sarah Lansdale? See them. From the town of Islip, we have Supervisor Angie Carpenter. We have DPW Commissioner Tommy Owens. From the town of Brookhaven, we have Supervisor Dan Panico. We have the Superintendent of Highways, Dan LaSquadro. From the town of Babylon, we have Supervisor Rich Schaefer. From the town of Smithtown, we got quite a contingent. We have Supervisor Ed Wareheim. Councilman Tom Lohman. I didn't see Bob Murphy. All right, we got Town Parks Maintenance Director Joe Arrico. And we have Jim Longworth from the Supervisor's Office. From the Village of Port Jefferson, we have Mayor Lauren Shepro. From Suffolk Regional Off-Track Betting Corporation, did anybody come from OTB? Yeah, we have, no, they didn't show. Oh, Tony Pansella. And then Chairman of the Empire State Development Corporation, we have Kevin Law. No one can hear me anyways.
He said Kevin Law.
Come on, everybody. All All right. So at this time, I'd like to bring up a few of the people that we have here to say a few words. First, I'd like to introduce Legislator Nick Caracappa.
Stephen, you're definitely saving the best for last, I can tell you that. So, but thank you. I'm honored to be here today. Hayduk Engineering and the Caracappa name, we go way back. We're no strangers to doing some incredible projects throughout Suffolk County. Way back to my mom, my brother Joseph, my mother Rose, my brother Joseph, and myself. Hayduk Engineering has been there, continues to be there. Instrumental, like I said, in getting some incredible projects done, from infrastructure to some incredible monuments we have dedicated to our veterans, from Bald Hill to Hauppauge, sewer treatment plants, you name it. I mean, Hayduk Engineering has been a part of it for quite a while, and we appreciate you. And Stephen, not everything goes according to plan, and luckily for us, fortunate enough for us, your plan that you had developed and grew and became what it is today 40 years later. And we're all grateful for that. There's a lot of projects out there with your names on it, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And thanks to your employees, a very talented group you have here working for you, we expect to see a whole lot more going on in the next 40 years. So congratulations on this momentous occasion to you and your family, to your employees, with your family as well. God bless. We're looking forward to doing more work for you on behalf of the 80,000 residents. I should say 1.5 million residents of Suffolk County, because I am representing the county right now. Although I'm here for the 4th District, I am here representing. I know our county executive, who can't be here today because he's healing from surgery. He is eternally grateful. You've worked with the county executive at Maine, going back to his supervisor days and way well before that. Again, thank you all very much for having me, and not so much thank you for having me go first, but it is what it is. God bless you, man.
One honored guest that we have here that I failed to mention before is the chairman of the Suffolk County Water Authority, Charlie Lefkowitz. Thank you very much for being here, Charlie. Yep. All right, so our next honored guest I'd like to bring up to say a few words is Supervisor Angie Carpenter.
Thank you. It was very heartwarming to listen to Steve talk about his history a little bit, and going back 40 years. I only go back about 30 plus years, when the then county executive Bob Gaffney had the foresight to have Steve Hayduk be his commissioner of DPW, and I served on the DPW committee, and I saw his expertise, his professionalism, and his passion, especially when it came time to forming the Veterans Commission to make sure that that incredible icon, that incredible monument at Bald Hill to our veterans got designed, got built, and is standing there for future generations.
That requires a traffic study.
Oh dear, it's my town. But it's not my road. So with that, if Charlie Bartha gets here, we'll make sure we remind him of that. But seriously, listening to Steve talk about his history and being in a position to eventually turn it over to the next generation, to his son Steve, I know that has to warm his heart. I know what it feels like. I started a business many, many years ago, and it's now run by my son, and it really is a special kind of thing to see and watch and have it grow and prosper. So on behalf of all the residents of the town of Islip, we are so grateful that you had the confidence to cite your new building commemorating the 4 years, your new office in our wonderful town, next to our beautiful airport that yesterday we had a new airline join us. JetBlue is now part of the family at Islip MacArthur Airport. So on behalf of all the residents of this great town, the members of the town board, Steve, congratulations. God bless.
Thank you, Angie.
So next I'd like to bring up Brookhaven Supervisor Dan Panico. Thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you all. Charlie Barth is here, just pointing that out. But this is nice to see everyone to come out. It's like the All-Star game. You see people you don't normally see throughout the normal course of your work. Let me say this. This man and his company are really the personification of the American dream. A person who drops out of Deer Park High School to go and serve in the military, raised his hand to serve this country in Vietnam, comes back after being honorably discharged, graduates from Suffolk Community College, then goes on to RIT, graduates there, starts the business out of his apartment, and now has flourished and grown. Everyone here, I know I'm in my 15th year in Brookhaven Town. I knew Hayduk Engineering from almost the beginning of my time, and the company has persisted because of the people, and especially you, who are really the backbone of this organization, and now that torch is being passed. They are the catalyst and a big part of the redevelopment and revitalization of downtown Mastic Beach, which is where I grew up. Their work in Brookhaven Town is going to leave a lasting legacy with the Beachwood organization that is going to be talked about long after we are all gone. So on behalf of the 500,000 residents, a couple more than Islip, I have this certificate for you. I'm going to leave it here. It's my honor to be here and to know you, and thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, sir.
All right, our next honored guest that we're going to ask to come up and speak is Town of Babylon Supervisor Rich Schaefer.
So let me just take credit for Steve, since he grew up in Deer Park, which is in the town of Babylon. And as he will remember, we have much quieter streets than the street here. So I have some office space available for you in Babylon.
West Ninth Street?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But let me just say, and I think it's all been said, but we're all here to honor a great individual who's accomplished so much, and as Supervisor Panico said, personifies the American dream. I'll bring you back to 1991. Bob Gaffney gets elected county executive, and I'm a member of the Suffolk County Legislature. And there's a change of administration from Pat Halpin to Bob Gaffney, and so there's a change in appointed commissioners, and the legislature has to approve those appointments. And so, of course, you know, the legislature really isn't a political body, right? But Bob Gaffney nominated Steve Hayduk to be the DPW commissioner, and Steve made the rounds and came to me, and the leader of our caucus had said, we're not voting for any of Gaffney's appointments. And I asked why, if they're qualified and they haven't been arrested and they can do the job, why aren't we voting for them? We're just not voting for them. But Steve came to me and asked for my vote, and I gave him my vote. And I didn't regret giving him my vote, because he handled himself as a true gentleman, a professional, and did a great job as the DPW commissioner for Suffolk County. I, of course, left about 5 months later, so I didn't get to see the breadth of his work. But I can tell you that he had a long-lasting impact on the future of Suffolk County, with the projects that were done, with the work that was accomplished through DPW. I think Charlie Barther was on his 86th year at DPW at that time, right, Charlie? So Charlie recognized also that Steve was a great leader and backed him up as the Chief Deputy County Executive. So I didn't want to miss today to be able to congratulate you, tell you that I've always been an admirer of yours, and young Steve, thank you very much for allowing me to participate today and continuing the tradition of Hayduk Engineering. Congratulations.
All right, the next person I'd like to bring up is the Town of Smithtown Supervisor, Ed Wareheim.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here with my colleagues to recognize Hayduk Engineering. What an excellent firm. But I would like to start, as is customary, as a fellow Vietnam veteran. Stephen, welcome home.
Welcome home, Ed.
So, you've heard the story about Steve and how he started senior and now turning it over to Steve Jr. We just got finished in Smithtown with a $2.8 million project at our Callahan's Beach on the Long Island Sound. And as many of the residents were beating us up because it wasn't being done on a timely basis, Hayduk Engineering was there for us. And the result of that, Smithtown and Hayduk Engineering won 3 awards for environmental and engineering services to the town of Smithtown. So I want to thank you personally, Stephen. And Stephen, thank you for your perseverance and helping us get through that turmoil. I will be taking photos of all the plaques and sending them to all of the residents who were upset that we didn't get it open on time. That's going to happen. It's already in the works. But also, like my colleagues, I want to congratulate you for just running an excellent engineering firm, and we wish you all the success in the future. Thank you very much.
I'd also like to acknowledge that the Suffolk County Economic Development and Planning Commissioner is here, Sarah Lansdale. There she is. Thanks for coming. We just have one more speaker I'd like to bring up, who is the Chairman of Suffolk County Water Authority, Charlie Lefkowitz.
Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to Hayduk Engineering. My relationship goes back with Steve Hayduk many years to the late 80s. We met from the great Harold Malcolmus. We'd take these trips to Florida, and I was on the younger side. But, you know, his love for nightlife, boating, the warm weather in the winter, and, you know, we developed a friendship. Fast forward, Steve came to me many years ago when I had a small office building in Port Jeff Station. And he said, well, I need office space. He started in about 1,000 square feet on the 3rd floor. He takes out his 3-fold checkbook, writes the check for the deposit, writes a check for the rent, and the rest was history. And from there, he expanded out of that facility over a few years, and I guess you were just getting out of college, and Steve Jr. joined him. And I've worked both in the private sector, public sector, with Steve and Steve Jr., and the fact is that they're here passing the torch to the next generation. And I look further both in the private and public sector, working with Hayduk Engineering, just to keep Suffolk County where it is as the greatest county in this state and one of the greatest counties in this country. And God bless you and your son and for all the hard work that it took to get to this point, and all the people that are here to support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
At this time, I'd like to bring up the ribbon. Let's do the ribbon cutting. I'd also like to recognize our new landlord and longtime client, Ron Parr. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for being here.
Photo first. Go ahead, Steve.
Great.
Ah.